This week's episode of ClickUp Mastery is sponsored by the Gutsy Mama Project, built to give moms the tools they need to quit their 9-to-5 by building a money-making Squarespace design business. To find out more about the Gutsy Mama Project, go to beagutsymama.com. Hi, I am Amalie with Systematic Excellence Consulting, and today I'm going to go over ClickUp for coaching clients. So some of the other videos I've done apply to how coaches can utilize ClickUp for their business, but I thought I'd just go into a little bit more detail as far as client management and how we use it inside of our business. So one of the first things we have is we have a client folder. So each of our clients get a folder, whether they're going to be doing a one-off project, coaching, consulting, anything like that. They each get a folder. So here I've shown that. And then depending on how many projects they have with us, they get a list per project. So let's just say this is a coaching client. That's all they're doing. We're going to meet weekly with them, and they'll get one list. Now, if they decide to hire us for something else later on, then they might get an additional list for that project. And what I'll do is I will create tasks for each of their calls that we have scheduled. And I will create a document using the client's name and call notes. And in here, what I've done is I just took the 4 calls that I had laid out that when we would actually have calls, and I'd put due dates to them. I would add the client to that list so that they could get a reminder about our call. And then I made notes for each of them. So this is just the main document, and then I've just nested 4 other documents here. You can see that. Now, what I would do on the first document is I would paste the statement of work from the contract or whatever is agreed on, and maybe some main goals that, maybe I'd have like main goals for our time together and set those on the front document. And then each call I would take notes from, like as we're talking. And when you share this with the client, they can also take notes here. So you could both be taking notes. They could go back and refer to it later. They can add notes after they're done, so this is a nice way for maybe as you're both on the call, you can take notes at the same time. Maybe they want to just note something different than you've noted. Anyway, so you can do that. And I've connected it to each of the tasks. So if I click on this, it's going to open up the November 17th task. And I would do that for each of these. And all I did was I clicked on the nested doc. I click on relationships. I go to page links, task. And then I'm going to look for that November 24th. Go ahead. Now it's connected. You can get crazy. You can add cover images. You can do a lot with this. If you haven't watched my other video about the 3.0 docs or ClickUp docs, I highly recommend doing that. ClickUp just came out with new docs features that are really fantastic. So again, to connect this to the next task, I'm just going to click on relationships, page links, task, find that December 1st one, and now it's connected. Now, like I said, I would take notes from here, and what you could do is, let's say on this first one, you take notes and you decide on something. This will be done by next time, right? So you could, have this, if you highlight it, create a task, and then you can assign it to, for now, I'll just assign it to myself, but you could assign it to your client. You create a task. So now you've created a task in here. And if we go over, if we go back over to the list that we had, it says it's created, this is the task that we just created. So I would probably just move that down into for next time. to help the client know like they've agreed to have this done by the next time. I also put a Q&A section here. That might be irrelevant if you use the dashboard, but I wanted to show just kind of the different options that are available as far as like if you wanted to do Q&A this way versus doing it in a dashboard that I'm going to show you. You can also attach a chat view. So if you wanted to have the chat view here, you could have, you know, the client chat here. We can rename this so it can be client chat. So what I've done, and I'll show it in a minute, is put the chat on the dashboard. But if you prefer it to be within the list, then you could have all of those things here. So you'll have your client, your call notes, you'll have your chat with the client, and then you'll have your schedule of events or your schedule, your call schedule here. And then for information, I just put the Google Drive link. And then over here, I've added a custom field. I would put the link to the Google folder here. And then what we typically do is after our calls, we upload them to Google Drive to the client folder. And then we put the link to the actual recording in the asset link custom field. And that way the client can access the recording if they'd like to. You could also put the link on each of the call notes. So I could come back here and, you know, I could put like call recording link, and I could put it here instead of in the task. So really, it depends on how, you know, how you want to see it or look at it. And then the doc, so since we created that relationship, it's hyperlinked right here. So if you click on this, this is going to take us to that document that we created. Okay, so that's the main, I guess, part that I would, how I would manage coaching clients. Now, what I would do first is create the template of what I want it to look like, and then I would just duplicate that each time for new clients. So I wouldn't recreate this every time. I would make this a template and just apply the template or duplicate the template when we get a new client. Now, the other piece of it is having a dashboard for the client. And so this is just an example of a dashboard that I created. And it just over here, it's, you know, just to start here, we're going to bookmark this link so that they have, you know, they have the dashboard linked. If you don't want to use dashboards, I think that's fine. I just find that it's, I don't know, maybe visually easier. I don't know. Anyway, so we've used dashboards. Our clients seem to like them. So I wanted to show this way as well, but I think you could do without them, and it would still be fine. So the other bookmark we asked them to bookmark is the 17 Hats portal. That's what we use for our contracts and proposals and things like that. So, and there's a portal that they save the URL to that they'll be able to access their agreement that they've signed. And then we put a walkthrough video right here. Communication, we let them know to use the chat widget, which is right here. And again, this chat widget doesn't have to live in the dashboard. It could live over in the list like I showed in the beginning right here, this client chat. Now, those two chats are not connected. So you just want to choose one place for the chat to be and just go with that one. Okay, so then what I've done is I've linked the call list or the call schedule. I guess I should call this the call schedule task list here. I'm in viewing. There we go. Yeah, so and so this is now has the call schedule that's in here, and I mean, it's just kind of viewing it one way or the other. If you're not going to use a dashboard, I would make sure that you have your Zoom link maybe put over here. So, you know, I might put my Zoom link there. I might put, you know, how we work documents. So we have a PDF that how we work information. I might put that there if I'm not going to use a dashboard. Now, I've just made those quick links because we typically use a dashboard for that. Okay, so from there, that's the main way that we manage coaching clients. Now, I will say, as for coaching in general, it is important to have an operations area where you have your CRM, team members, where you're managing leads and client onboarding. I do have some additional videos about that, and I'll put the links in the description of this video. But those are all really important parts of a coaching client, of a coaching business, right? So you're going to need to track leads. You're going to need to track current clients. Now, I will say this about the current client area versus the client folder. So we use the current client list in our CRM folder, which is right here. So CRM folder, current client list, as a place to remind us about sending invoices, about, do we have a one-off project? Is it an ongoing project? Are we offboarding them? So we have information in both places. When we do our onboarding checklist, so as you can see, client onboarding template task right here, that is done in the CRM area, not in the client area up here. So I just want to make that clear because we have the information in both places. It seems maybe redundant, but I think it's nice to be able to see all of our current clients in one place, all of our leads in one place, and then manage their projects and ongoing clients in a separate area. So having operations in your business, and then managing team members, depending on how big your business is. You're going to want a marketing area. So when you're doing any kind of content production, content management, depending on what platforms you're on, it could be maybe you need, inside of content management, it could have a list for, whatever platforms you're on, podcast production, blog production, YouTube production, all of that is going to be important. But as far as the functions of the business, I really think, if you stick with a client space, operation space, marketing space, those are going to let you get most of your main pieces of your business. And then you can always build out other spaces if you have more. But I'd say the core of it, and maybe for us, we put accounting and things like that inside of our operations area, but maybe you want a space for accounting where you keep track of your subscriptions and you keep track of your pay and of what you're paying people and things like that. And but for us, those are the main functions of the business. So I hope that was helpful. Again, my name is Amalie. I'm with Systematic Excellence Consulting, and this is the ClickUp Mastery YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I do make sure that I respond to all of them. And if you're looking for additional support, maybe some one-on-one help getting things set up, you can click the link below and book a call with me. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.